The giant jumped on his horse and gave chase. From the horizon, Magnus looked back and saw the flames shooting from the horse's nostrils, and the giant riding on its back. "We'll never outrun him," he said. Kara smiled. "Let me deal with him," she said. Magnus was about to argue, but then he thought again. Kara was clearly very clever. Perhaps it was time to trust her. They reached the sea and Kara hopped into a sailing boat. Soon the giant reached the shore too, but here was no boat for him. "I know how to handle this," he said, and he called up his cousin, the sea slurper. The sea slurper took out a big straw and sucked up the sea. The boat Magnus and Kara were in was soon bouncing on the dry seabed and going nowhere. Magnus panicked. I thought you were going to deal with him," Magnus said. "We're done for. You must trust me," said Kara. "I'll get us out of this." Magnus watched as Kara took the lump of salt. She threw it down and a mountain erupted from the seabed between them and the giant. "I know how to handle this," said the giant. He called up his other cousin, the rock wrecker, to munch a tunnel through the rock. Magnus and Kara ran onto the other shore, but the giant was through the tunnel and back on their heels. His cousins, the sea slurper and the rock wrecker, were right there at his side. "This is worse than ever," wailed Magnus. From the safety of the shore, Kara opened a small flask she'd taken from the kitchen and tipped out the water. It seemed as if gallons of water were flowing from the tiny bottle. Soon the sea was raging again. The water swirled around the giant's legs and then the giant's middle until a mighty swish. A wave knocked out the giant clean off his feet. He tried to swim to the shore, but it was no use. He was kept away with his two cousins, never to be heard from again. "Where shall we go?" asked Kara. "Now that we've left the giants, we have no home to go." "I have an idea," said Magnus. Magnus took Kara back to his father, the king, and apologized for being such a know-it-all. If Kara had taught him anything, it was when to listen to people who knew better. His life had been saved time and time again, thanks to her. If he'd done things his own way, he would have ended up as giant's dinner. His father was pleased to hear that his son had finally learned his lesson, and welcomed them both into his home. Soon they were married. Kara was a good wife and a wise princess, and Magnus was a loyal husband, and that when Kara told Magnus the best way to make the bed, tie his shoe boots, or brush his teeth, Magnus always listened. Clever Kara.